Welcome to another video of Nu-Trix the Synth Guy, but this one's a special. It's the end of the year, my top favorite iPad music making apps of 2020. Now, 2020 was a bizarre year to say the least. I don't have to talk about the COVID, but what came out of it was also very good. I started to do other things online, Zoom interviews, and I met a lot of really cool people. And I'll put the link below for the interviews I did. I always love to understand what's behind the making of a device, solution, software, hardware, music stuff. It's just interesting because it helps you understand what it was meant to be for, who it was meant to be for, and how they thought people would use it. And they're always surprised that the users use it in a different way. Often we go outside of the limit of what the tool was supposed to be doing just because we're creative people. And I adore that part. So it's always interesting to understand how this product software came to be. A lot of good stuff came out this year. On the iPad, I think it was an explosion. Like the iPad music making world now is, I would say, recognized by everybody as, yes, you can make music on the iPad, you can make real music on the iPad, you can make pro music on the iPad. A lot of people have been there to prove it, and more people are accepting that. And even if it was not the case, you still can make music on the iPad just for fun. And I think that with the first thing why you make music, it's because it's fun. It's good for your brain, good for your energy, your emotion, just it's good for your health. So basically, make more music, people. And the iPad is just an easy way to get into the world of music. And it's also, today, even a pro way to do it. So don't limit yourself. Say, I don't have a hardware device. Honestly, I'm looking at selling some of my stuff because I buy stuff and then I don't use it as much as I want to. And you'll find myself using the iPad more and more. So start with the iPad, make music. If you want to do hardware with it, go ahead, but start with the iPad. Costs less and you can experiment a lot of stuff. So today I'm going to list the stuff that I personally go back to when I open my iPad. So it doesn't mean it's the best in the world. I mean, these are my favorites. And there's a reason why I go back to these, because I like the way they work, they do the sound I want, and they give me a workflow that I find inspiring and useful and functional. So some of these apps might be a little bit older. Most of them, they're really recent, or they had an update this year. So let's start right away with the DAWs. You have, of course, Nano Studio 2, Beatmaker 3, you've got Cubase 2 and Cubase 3, you've got GarageBand. All of them are really cool, and there's others DAWs also. But my favorites are Zen Beats from Roland and Chord Gadgets. The reason these two are really my two favorites is basically I learned music using pattern-based hardware. I work with beatboxes as my first way of making music. So the pattern is really important, the way I create music. So when I got my hand into Gadget years ago when it was released, I always liked this, pattern-based style of music, and there was cool sounds in it, and it just evolved into a stable, very cool app. Zen Beats is younger. Roland bought it from Open Lab. It was called Stage Light, if I'm not mistaken. And what's cool about this one is just that it's very light, very quick, very easy to work, and it has the whole audio unit universe in it. And that is one thing that this year exploded in the iOS world. Last year we were talking about the future of iOS would be audio unit, and this year it is. It's clear that audio unit is everywhere, and it really opens up the world of making music like you would do on a computer. So this is really cool. And Zen Beats, compared to Gadget, Zen Beats does support audio unit. Gadget does not. It's a closed environment. So I still like it But because of the closed environment of Gadget, it's less interesting and less open to the rest of the world. Whereas Zen Beats has that same pattern-based mindset that I love, and is also open to using Audio Unit. Now, on top of that, these softwares, they run on multiple platforms, and you can exchange between them. I can load my Zen Beats song on my iPhone, then save it to the cloud, open my iPad, work on it, save it to the cloud, open my computer, load the same song, work on it, save it to the cloud, go back onto my iPad, save it, So it's really cool because I can work on something without having to be in the studio. And just when I have time, I could be waiting in line, we did that this year, to go buy some stuff, and I could work on the song because I'm inspired and I'm just waiting, So this is really powerful. Now, it's not always easy because you might not have all the plugins, the Audio Unit at every places, like on the iPad, iPhone, and your computer, but still it's getting there, and it's a really cool thing to have. So Zen Beats is my number one because of that. Gadget is because of that same reason is not, because it doesn't support Audio Unit. And the way you go between platform, well, you need to buy also the Mac version on top of having the Gadget on the iPad and iOS. So because of that buy, it's another like $300 to get that. I didn't go with that because Gadget on the iPad and the iPhone, you can actually export to Ableton Live sessions. And then I can move on with Live, which I already own. So why not just go with that? Whereas in Zen Beats, the same install, the same account, if you buy the Pro or if you use the free one, works on all your platform without anything else to pay. So that's a big plus also for me. Oh, there's also another DAW that I just got my hand on and I really, really enjoy. Drambo is just like a cool modular, it's a sequencer. It could be just a beat making software. It could be just a modular synthesizer. It's just the way you want to build it, and you can actually load stuff. And I'm just going to load a preset just to show you really quickly. I'm going to say instrument rack preset, and I'm going to load a drum kick. There you go. There you got your kick. What you have here is basically many different modules already combined together, and that's really cool. And then you can actually just play it. You can say, well, I'm going to have, that's where my kick's going to be, and then just really quick to do. But it means that what you're having here is a modular synthesizer. You can actually go in and change the way these are connected. You can add more stuff. And what's cool about this, if I go back to the fact that this is also a DAW, is you can actually go for the new one and say, I'm going to load an Audio Unit instrument. And then you can load, Agonizer, for example. So this is, the Audio Unit opens up the book for everybody this year. This one is my Christmas gift. I bought myself Drambo this year. Because I love modular, I love the interaction and the way you can actually connect stuff and create kind of surprisingly evolving songs without having to create all of it. Modular is really good for that. Next one, groove boxes. I put groove boxes this year and drum machine into the same box. And it's sometimes difficult to do the differences between the two. And of course, there's a lot of them. What I discovered this year, and I know it existed before, for me was Rushmaker or Rushmaker. You have Rushmaker, Rushmaker FM, and Rushmaker Noir. What's cool about this is you can actually randomize. The randomize feature is pretty fun. You have drum kits, but there's this Euclidean MIDI sequencer. And that where it's fun, it creates these evolving drums because you don't have to have the same length for each of the sounds. So you create these ever-changing, let's hi-hat pattern over a drum kit. You can have your kick and your snare to be, very tight and always being the rhythm of the song. But everything else, you can have different timing. And then it makes that, it might take 3 times before it comes back to the first loops, and it's one single loop that becomes really complex. So this is cool. The Rushmaker is, I think, the first one. It sounds mostly old electronic. While the FM is basically the same with FM's modulation, pitch, and the type of modulation you want. So you have these a little more of FM. To FM sound, Rushmaker FM is doing the same thing as Rushmaker, but the synthesis a little bit more complex and more control. The Noir, which is not just a drum, it could be a bass line, it could be, it's a synthesizer with a sequence, easy to create something that is just like easy to create something weird with that, but it's still, again, it's just fun. It's just fun. You can randomize the instrument, and you can also mutate the pattern or modify it. Random. AR 909 drum sound from Audio Kit. What's cool about this is not just the 909 sound, because I only have 909 sounds. I've got Roland stuff, but I love the distortion on this thing. It is just so massively cool. Listen to this. You go into that, you have this. This is just super cool. Just for that distortion. Matthew, please work on this distortion as a standalone. The crusher you have here is just cool. So this could be your next limited edition stuff. Now what else? We have, I always love Egoist. I'm going to show you this again. This thing here from Sugar Bites. And this is always pretty cool because you can just slice loop, change where they're going to play. And you have these. That's the bass. And if you go to the bass section, you can actually also change all of the bass. And then you can also automate effects. This is a cool thing. There's also a video about this in the link, but this is always a great thing to play with existing loops and make them into something really cool. Acid music, it's just like so easy. You've got your 303 type of sound, you've got your drum kits, and it's just like really easy to work, and it has that sound. It has that, just like if you're longing for this type of sound, the acid sound, well, Pure Acid really nailed it, and it works really well. One of the cool things that I was really happy to see appear this year on the iPad is Drum Computer. I already had it on the Mac, and the first time I got it, it was like, oh, can we have this on the iPad? Because it's just going to be cool. I love drums. It's the first thing I play with when I create a song. And Drum Computer, I'll do another video just about that. But it's, you know, it's a drum synthesizer. This is what I love. I mean, of course, you can have drum samplers, and they're fine. But drum synthesizer, what's cool about it is you can actually program and have them change over time. All of this window you have right now is just for the kick. This one's just for the snare, just for this hi-hat. And what's cool about this is you can actually go in and randomize within the drum kit. I said, well, these are kick. I'm going to randomize my kick, and it's going to create a new one every time, but within the kick world. So even if you don't want to make one, say, well, I like this one, and then you can actually go in and you can really change it the way you want. Now these are just bizarre stuff. I don't even know. I just got in. So really quick, really, and you get the whole kit, and you've got the sequence, and you can create your own stuff. And it's just like, it's a cool, if you like electronic sounds, it's just fun. It's just fun to play with. So Drum Computer is another quick one to play with, and you can even trigger from the keyboard after your different sequence and sound. So it's a kick, and if you play here, this is the mutes, and these are the patterns. So really, really powerful. Synthesizers, well, synthesizers, you have a lot of synthesizers this year. Which one do I go back to the most? Well, one of the go-to synth I have today is the Bliss Alpha. It does everything I want, and it sounds really nice. So the Bliss Alpha is kind of my first go-to. Then I've got the bass 808, the sub-bass 808s from Audio Kit. Some people see it as being bass drums, but it could be just for a bass, you know, bass, not just bass drum, just a bass, basically. Agonizer is from Hack Attack and Numerical, and it's just like a really fun synth, especially for noisy stuff. And I know I love noisy stuff. So a cool one. You have Xenon, which is, this one sounds analog. It just sounds so rich. And that's what I love about this one and the Alpha from Bliss. These sounds almost analog. They're really rich sound, round, clean, fun. Of course, there's the Synth one, which is good, but Digital D one does what the Synth one does, plus this kind of D50 type of sound. For more traditional sound, you would have the Pure Synth Platinum. It's probably one of the best drum player today on the iPad. From Audio Kit, the House Mark I from, it was created with Any the Business and Kennar. This is really the sample of a Rode piano that they have at the school that they teach. Effects. Now, effects, this year was a year of gifts. I mean, there was so much cool stuff coming out for effects. Bliss has been really active into making really cool plugins, and you have the Bliss Sidekick that I talked about, which is a sidekick compressor that has a kick in it. So it's also a drum kit designer if you want. So really cool. You have, of course, they have the Bliss Reverb, they have the Shimmer, the Chorus, the Motion EQ, the compressor. There's a granulator they're announcing now online. I personally like the Sidekick, my preferred one. The delay is very nice and very mobile, I would say. You can make it move and alive. The filter is always a great thing to use and to create movement on something. And the saturator is really cool. All of them, they're really fun, but these are the one that pops up the most in my mind. Eventide came up with a lot of plugins this year. I was more than happy to be invited to create sounds. I mean, they sound really nice. They're all different. My favorite Eventide plugin is the Black Hole. Of course, is just like, I don't know, it's a go-to for having this big, weird reverb. The Crush Station, for me, it's just, I love distortion. It's a cool sounding plugin. And Spring, to my surprise, I just love that thing. It just sounds really nice. They have the micro pitch, the ultra tap, the rotary, the Mangle Verb, the Q-Vox, the Tricera Chorus, the Crystal, the Shimmer Verb, and the Undulator. I mean, they've got all of that. Root, which is, you can do a lot of texturing with that. You play with dynamics with that. It's kind of a compressor expander, and you've got this texture coming out of a root. Also, for distortion, I just adore Bit Maestro, which is probably my favorite bit reduction plugin on the iPad. The capacity of selecting which one you want to get rid of. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And then you just... And you can also add modulation to it. We also have tone boosters. I would say normal plugin if you want compressor or limiter and clean up your tracks and mixing a song. But also there's Morphit. Morphit is basically, I'll show you what Morphit does. It's basically helping you mix without a good room. So it will add some treatment to the signal, the master out, before it goes to your headphones. And if you have a list of your headphone in it, it would adapt the output to the type of headphone you have. It will be more and more able to give you that honest listening so you can do critical choices. And so you can actually select the headphone you have, and it will, I don't know, let's say I have this one, which I don't, it will show me the reaction and will do the correction for this. So that is pretty awesome. It will give you a better result in your headphone when you're mixing. Cool stuff. That's it. These are my favorite apps that I go to. It doesn't mean that they're the best in the world. It means that they fit how I work and what I like when I'm working on a song. At least I hope it opened you, to a list of possibilities, and maybe you have a better understanding of what other apps do. Honestly, I have to say a huge thank you for this year. 2020 was a bizarre year, to say the least, after 2 difficult years for me. And you were there, you followed me, you interacted, you asked questions, you got this reality of me that is online, alive, and helping support my mental health and making music and talking about stuff that I love. So I say a huge thank you, and I'm going to keep doing it because I feel that the response is good. You're almost 12,000 people subscribed, and I know by the stat I get, there's a lot more people than that following me. So thank you very much, and stay safe and make more music. Cheers, guys.